Holy shit. He said what?
Royal family mired in one of its biggest crises in history.
Prince Harry, Meghan Markle and their children could be set to lose their royal titles. And when Prince William becomes monarch,
Prince William now winning this huge battle with his father King Charles for there to be an Act of Parliament introduced at Westminster to jettison not just Prince Andrew, Beatrice and Eugenie, but also Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie and Lily once and for all.
The palace has made its most daring move yet, and Prince Harry's time may be slipping away.
If you thought the Prince Andrew scandal was the end of the changes that are coming under King William V, let me tell you, you are wrong.
According to new reports from London, top palace officials have reportedly started formal proceedings to strip Prince Harry of his royal titles, something no ruler has dared to do to their own family in more than 100 years.
King Charles and Prince William still believe Meghan Markle is a bigger threat to the royal family than Prince Andrew.
But there's a surprising turn. Harry, instead of keeping quiet, is already heading to the UK. Sources say this is no routine trip, but a direct attempt to intervene before it's too late.
My sources say there is a growing feeling within Buckingham Palace that Prince William is winning the argument and that Charles may have to take a political stance on that matter.
For months, quiet murmurs of a royal reckoning have drifted through the halls of Buckingham Palace. Whispers that turn to action the moment Prince William stepped into his father's shoes during King Charles's cancer battle. Behind those iron gates, power is being quietly reshaped, redefining what royalty itself stands for. And at the center of it all stands a son, desperate to defend the legacy that bears his family's name, yet condemned by the very crown he once served.
William knows that it is unpalatable for the British monarchy to keep this disastrous couple in the mix when it comes to Andrew and Fergie, but also to have Harry and Meghan constantly dragging down the brand. Both couples are an issue.
Yeah, I feel very strongly that Harry and Meghan should be cut out.
Why now? And who's truly orchestrating this historic move? The ailing king, the shrewd heir, or the royal machine itself? If these reports hold any truth, the monarchy isn't just facing another scandal. It's on the brink of an internal war between blood and crown. London, 2025. The atmosphere around Buckingham Palace feels heavier than ever, not with pomp, but with silence. King Charles, weakened by illness, has withdrawn from the daily rhythm of rule. In his stead, Prince William steps forward, careful, measured, and fiercely determined to guard the institution he's destined to lead. Amid this quiet shift, one name returns to the center: Harry, the self-exiled prince whose pursuit of freedom has turned into the monarchy's deepest wound. Once celebrated as the soldier prince, he now stands alone. His only army made up of cameras, contracts, and controversy.
This is so ridiculous, and what O'Brien said about him being a military hero is as ridiculous as when Harry got that award for being a hero of flight. I just about fell off my chair when I heard that, a hero of flight.
Each Netflix special, every explosive interview, and every subtle accusation chipped away at the dignity the crown strives to uphold. At his side, Meghan, a woman who traded palace corridors for Hollywood boardrooms, royal duty for personal empire building. Her rumored plans for a luxury cosmetics line, inspired by royal sophistication, haven't gone unnoticed in London's power circles. To the establishment, it's not innovation, it's exploitation. Each new venture appears to profit from the very titles they claim to reject. Inside the palace walls, patience has worn thin. Senior courtiers whisper that William no longer sees the Sussexes as family, but as a brand hazard, a liability tarnishing the monarchy's global image.
Prince William knows that it's not just Andrew and Sarah and Beatrice and Eugenie which need to be dealt with. It's Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lily too. And he wants his father to be tougher. I think that has to happen. I really, really do believe.
Royal aides no longer ask if action will be taken. They ask when. The timing is no accident. As the king's health declines, William's influence rises, along with his resolve to shield the monarchy from its most outspoken defectors. In this new royal order, forgiveness isn't seen as grace, it's seen as weakness. And if that's true, then Harry's sudden flight home isn't about reunion. It's about reckoning. It all began like a fairy tale. A prince and an American actress. A love story that promised to breathe new life into an ancient crown. The wedding dazzled the world with unity, diversity, and defiance. For a moment, the monarchy looked modern again. But fairy tales rarely survive the glare of reality. By 2020, the Sussexes were gone, their bags packed, their royal duties left behind. They declared independence. No courtiers, no hierarchy, just Harry and Meghan, free, unbound, and ready to tell their truth.
Such a joke, Dan. Here, Harry and Meghan are getting awards for being humanitarians. And humanitarians don't treat family like that. They don't betray their country like that.
Freedom soon transformed into a franchise. What started as a journey of personal reinvention grew into a global media empire built on the palace's shadow. A podcast unpacking privilege. A documentary reframing royal history. Every private slight became a headline. And every headline, a new revenue stream. The couple who once pleaded for privacy now sold it to the highest bidder. And while Harry spoke of healing, every interview tore open the wounds the monarchy had tried so hard to seal. Each revelation turned reconciliation into spectacle. Each accusation peeled back another layer of the crown's carefully polished image. Meanwhile, in London, William watched the story twist, not just against Harry, but against the institution itself. Every headline that questioned the crown's compassion or relevance became fuel for critics and Republicans abroad. For a time, the palace chose silence, trusting the noise would fade. It didn't. The more the Sussexes spoke, the deeper the monarchy bled. And somewhere between talk shows, tell-alls and streaming deals, the public stopped asking why Harry left, and began to wonder what he might bring down next. Because in the end, it wasn't exile that changed him. It was attention, and the palace realized that might be the real danger.
Nonsense. They hate it. They didn't like the royal family. They left 5-6 years ago now because they hated it all. Okay, go away. The Queen wished them well, but that's not good enough. What they want is to keep on nagging, to keep on making things difficult for anyone who's royal.
It began subtly. Just murmurs in Parliament, a few speculative lines tucked away in a Sunday column, about a possible bill that would let lawmakers strip royal titles through a simple vote. At first, it seemed like idle talk, a distant idea. But soon came the drafts, the quiet consultations, and then the unmistakable signal. The monarchy was preparing for a purge. Prince Andrew was the obvious target. His scandals had long embarrassed the crown, but insiders whispered that William's focus didn't stop there. The next name, they said, was his brother's. For years, Harry had insisted he wanted freedom from the royal machine, until that very freedom began threatening his relevance. Suddenly, the private citizen was Prince Harry again, but only when the red lights of the cameras flicked on. While William devoted himself to duty and stability, Harry devoted himself to production crews and personal documentaries. And then there was Meghan, ever poised, ever calculated. She turned every public appearance into a pitch, every controversy into an opportunity. Her rumored ventures, luxury brands laced with royal imagery, blurred the line between heritage and hustle. To the British establishment, this wasn't empowerment. It was commercialization of the crown itself, ambition dressed as entitlement. Behind palace walls, aides gathered numbers, polls showing Harry and Meghan's approval plummeting, even dipping below that of disgraced Prince Andrew. That figure struck harder than any tabloid sting. It confirmed the worst fear. The couple who had once claimed to hold the moral high ground had lost the moral audience. Yet, instead of retreating, Harry dug in deeper, recasting himself as both victim and warrior. It was a paradox that defined him now, a man demanding recognition from the very institution he'd spent years tearing down. To the monarchy, it wasn't courage. It was chaos cloaked in self-righteousness.
I actually would go as far to say that Harry is a traitor because he betrayed his country. He betrayed one of the leading institutions of his country, the monarchy. He disgraced the monarchy. He disgraced his family.
But here's where things take an unexpected turn. The palace isn't merely reacting anymore, it's planning. And this time, the target isn't scandal, it's strategy. Beneath Buckingham Palace's gleaming marble floors, one principle has always ruled the monarchy. Survival, not sentiment. Not forgiveness, survival. And right now, that instinct belongs to Prince William. While King Charles fights his private battle with illness, William has quietly taken the reins of the royal machine. His approach is surgical, a monarchy streamlined, disciplined, and impervious to scandal. The era of messy tabloids, emotional memoirs, and public feuds is over. To preserve the institution, all distractions must be excised, and that is where Harry and Meghan become more than family. They are examples. Their defiance, once seen as youthful rebellion, now demonstrates how easily royal privilege can fracture when mixed with fame. Each public confession, each calculated revelation, turned the crown's duty into a public spectacle. William intends to end the franchise. This isn't personal. It's brand protection. By stripping titles, he signals that the monarchy isn't a free-for-all dynasty, it's a disciplined institution. The Sussexes broke the rules of silence, and now, silence has become their greatest enemy.
Absolutely disgusting. They don't deserve to have any attention from the royal family. And the more that they go on and on about it, the harder we must be.
Behind the palace gates, aides whisper about the restoration, a subtle rebalancing of power where loyalty to the institution outweighs loyalty to blood. Meghan's luxury brands and Harry's public grievances are no longer gossip. They are tangible threats on the monarchy's balance sheet. The bitter irony is clear. The titles Harry once abandoned are now his only claim to belonging. Lose them, and he is no longer a prince in exile, only a celebrity chasing relevance. The monarchy, stripped to its essence, will survive. But Harry and Meghan will endure a different reality, becoming the cautionary tale designed to remind everyone else of the cost of defiance. Across the ocean, their empire of influence begins to dim. Hollywood, once enchanted by royal sparkle, now watches with polite exhaustion. The couple who promised honesty have become a performance. Too many confessions, too few truths. Even their Netflix ventures, while breaking records, generated backlash. Critics called them indulgent, self-pitying, and theatrical. Every tear seemed scripted, every revelation premeditated. Even supporters grew weary. How long can this go on? One commentator asked. In Washington, political invitations are slowing, and advocacy groups that once praised their modern monarchy narrative quietly withdraw. The problem isn't what they're saying, it's what they reflect.
Because William, let me be clear, does not believe his father, the cancer-stricken king, has gone far enough. He thinks Andrew should not even be a prince. He certainly should not be in the United Kingdom. Exile is the only answer. But the problem is that requires an act of parliament. That act of parliament, I am told, William also intends to use to finally jettison the Sussexes.
Everything they once criticized the institution for, privilege, image control, exploitation, has become their own brand strategy. Meghan's latest venture, glossy prototypes of royal-inspired cosmetics, only underscores the contradiction. How does one reject a system while bottling its image to sell it? This is no longer empowerment. It's opportunism with better lighting. Harry fares no better. His memoir, once celebrated as courageous, now reads like a diary of entitlement, a man trapped between guilt and greed. Each interview, each tell-all chips away at the sympathy he once commanded. The soldier prince has become the perpetual complainer, defined not by what he's fought for, but by whom he's fighting against. And so, the irony completes itself. In fleeing the shadow of the monarchy, they have built a smaller one of their own, illuminated by spotlights instead of crowns, burning hotter, fading faster, leaving nothing but glare. Exile isn't freedom when the palace travels with you. For all the statements, interviews, and curated photographs, the harshest judgment hasn't come from the palace or parliament. It's come from the public. The very audience they built their empire on. Once, they were the faces of change, the bridge between royalty and reality. People saw in them the promise of a modern monarchy, relatable, diverse, untouchable by tradition. But that promise has collapsed under the weight of contradiction. Every speech on compassion paired with a luxury sponsorship. Every plea for privacy followed by another documentary. In Britain, the sympathy that once shielded them has curdled into indifference. Street interviews echo a familiar refrain. They wanted freedom. They got it. Now what? Even the most loyal supporters admit fatigue. There are only so many times that the same grievances can be repackaged before they stop sounding like truth and start sounding like business.
Business plan.
But she's an incredibly unpleasant woman. The children don't need anything. They're little kids. They don't even know who their grandfather is, or either grandfathers actually, and they don't need how to be royal people. So let's leave it. Let them have their own
On
life.
social media, every effort the couple made to control their narrative has backfired. Inspirational clips have become memes. Bold statements of independence are met with ridicule. The irony is stark. Those who tried to escape the scrutiny of royalty are now trapped by the court of public opinion. No aides, no palace walls, just algorithms and audiences, both turning away. Harry, once the emblem of honorable rebellion, now battles irrelevance. Meghan, once admired for her elegance, now risks overexposure. Together, they have become a cautionary case study. Image without authenticity collapses under its own spotlight. Fame brings visibility, but credibility ensures legacy, and theirs has eroded. Perhaps it was inevitable. The monarchy's most rebellious son has learned that freedom without restraint is a cage in disguise. Tonight, as Harry rushes home to face a future he once tried to escape, the story is less about royal scandal and more about warning. The spotlight that once elevated them now scrutinizes every move. Meghan, the actress who once captivated audiences, now finds her role unconvincing. The Sussexes' only undeniable creation has been the fallout. Reputation is rhythm. Miss the beat, and the world stops listening. Titles may be stripped, but credibility has already been lost. Power doesn't always reside in crowns. Sometimes it ends quietly, in silence. And that silence raises questions. If the royal family can erase its own blood to protect the throne, what else might be hidden? What truths never reach the public? For a deeper dive, watch our previous investigation into Meghan's mother and her revelations about Archie and Elizabeth. This is Gossip USA, where the truth lies hidden between the headlines.